Hi, everybody, and welcome to the I Rock Knits podcast. I'm Corey Eichelberger, coming to you from the southwest corner of the Twin Cities in Victoria, Minnesota, where I live in a tiny little town that's almost a suburb. We're hoping to grow up someday to be a suburb of the Twin Cities. I've had a crazy couple of weeks, and I'm going into even a busier week this week, so I'm going to get this going this morning and get it recorded and uploaded. Say congratulations to my friend Megan Williams on completing a marathon yesterday. She ran the Chicago Marathon, and I cheered her on in a previous marathon when my daughter Kylie and Ellie, her daughter, were much younger, and it was such an amazing experience for us. And I cannot believe the motivation, the dedication that it takes to, with 3 small children and a full-time job, to run a marathon. I can't, and she averaged 9-minute miles the whole way, and it was windy. I can't run to the mailbox or walk to the mailbox and back in 9 minutes. I mean, I'm just not a runner, but still. So congratulations, Megan. I have some hellos today. So hello to Angela, Beverly, Dawn, Michelle, Helen, Emma, Zoe, Stacie, Kathy, Charlene, Nancy, RSbead Design, Kat, Connie, GrannyDee, Denise, Melissa, Penny, PJ, Robin, Kathy, Rerec, Jesse's mom, Rita, Carla, Mary B, Bethany, Brandi, Mel, CeeGee, Bareiria, Nancy, Glenda, Cintia, Mary S, Olivia, Kelly, Annette, Sue, Gayle, Marti, Lisa B, Gregg, Little Mimi, Melinda, Taylor, Peggy, Kara, or Cara, I'm not sure, with a K. I think that's Kara. Andrea, Amy, George Ann, Debbie M, Amy B, and Nan on Ravelry, who is knitting several Friendship Road sweaters. And she and I had a little conversation back and forth, so good job, Nan. And all of the women at the Sew and Save in Racine, Wisconsin. Hi! All of you that came to my classes on Monday. I met so many people. But Lisa and Sandy and Linda, especially, for just encouraging the group to have me and to welcome me. I had an amazing time. Exhausting, but amazing. So I drove over to Racine last Sunday. It's about a 6.5 hour drive because you have to stop, right, and go to the bathroom and get a little Diet Coke or something on the way. And Wisconsin is a wide state. So I have to go all the way across it. It's right on the Great Lakes. It's between like Milwaukee and Chicago. So that's where I headed, and I arrived on Sunday night, and I was picked up by Sandy and taken to Lisa's house for dinner, where she fixed us an amazing gluten-free meal, which was so lovely of her. And then they gave me gifts. You guys, I have gifts sitting here, and that's what I'm looking at. So this is what Lisa made me. Look at this. It's reusable. I can put a notebook in it. So all my design ideas are going to get transferred over because I have them on 100 little scraps of paper in the living room, or the family room, sitting by the chair. Every time I think of something or have an idea for something, I jot out a whole thing, and then I never transfer it into a notebook. So that's going to happen. And then this is a sew and save yarn store. So a lot of these women can sew, which is just amazing. 70 sewing machines in this yarn store. It was just awe-inspiring, like so much sewing equipment. And then you go through this little hallway in through a door, probably to what was originally a second store, like in a strip mall, side by side. In the front is the yarn and the back is the fabric. And the biggest classroom I've taught in to date. Awesome. But this is what Sandy made. She made bags, and look, she bought rock fabric to put I Rock Knits on the bags. It's got a pocket, and then it's got an interior. Isn't that, look at that. I had to take the stuff out of it because I've already been carrying it. Look at that, a zippered pocket. And then, no, that's not enough. No, we should make another one. And this one has pockets here with buttons sewn on and my name. And this one has a button. And then I love the inside of this one. This sold it for me. And this has a zipper pocket here and a pouch pocket. And this one has flappy uppy zippers. So they fold up or fold down. Oh my goodness. She made a bunch of these for the dinner party. And then she stacked them in front of me and said, you pick which ones you like. Oh my gosh. I could have taken any one of the 8. She had sheep fabrics, and then she had yellow and red, and I was like a little overwhelmed. I was like, this is too nice, right? Like, who does that? She loves to sew, and they're so well made, and she does not have a business for this, but she should, because people would totally buy them. And this is just a little, and my tissues, I have those little packages of tissues, and they always get all crumpled up in the purse. So this is going with me in my purse when I travel tomorrow and Thursday. Those ladies made chapstick for everyone that came to the event. Isn't that neat? And they went to a woman's house who makes chapstick so that they could learn how, so they could make it for everyone. So I got a lavender one and a peppermint. So thank you for that. Oh my gosh, I wish I could say hello to all of you by name, because I met so many of you, and we spent I taught shawls in the morning, 50 Shades of Shawls in the morning. Then we took a 2-hour break, which really wasn't much of a break because we chattered for the whole time. And then 3 hours in the afternoon. And then we went out to dinner that night. And I had a lovely Italian dinner, 2 more ladies from the shop. It was really fun. Then I had to drive home on Tuesday all the way, and that I was tired, and Wisconsin is beautiful, but it's wide. That's all I'm going to say about that. I did get home late afternoon, and then my daughter came to dinner, which was really nice because I hadn't seen her in person in a while, even though she's living not that far from us. So anyway, that was lovely. And then I turned around and taught the library on Wednesday. And on Thursday, I had to finally unload all the suitcases and put away all the shawls and sweaters, because I won't be teaching them again for a while. And Saturday, we went and watched the Gophers game. And then Sunday, we actually went to the Vikings game. I love football. I don't think you all know that about me, but I love football. I grew up with a father who loved football. We grew up in South Dakota. My brothers all loved the Minnesota Vikings, so that's who I cheered for growing up. I just love it. I cheered for it in high school. And then here's something else you don't know about me. I was a high school cheerleading coach for 10 years. Yeah. I taught in Wayzata, Minnesota, which is a suburb north of me now, for 17 years. But when I first started teaching there, I was teaching in an at-risk program, and they came to me and asked me if I would be interested in coaching the cheerleaders because of my gymnastics and cheerleading background. And they had just qualified for a national tournament. So they were going to a national tournament, and the previous advisor was like, this is, they're getting good and they're over my head a little bit. And so would you be willing to take them on? And I said, well, I don't know as much about stunting in cheerleading, right? Girls lifting other girls in the air, and then eventually guys lifting girls in the air. But I took it on because when you're new and young, you'll do it all. I had come from a school district where I taught 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade English, the school yearbook, the newspaper, the musical. I think I've maybe told you that all before, but the cheerleaders too. And I taught there for 2 years in a farm community in southern Minnesota. And then when I moved to the cities and got married, I got this job because I was willing to take an at-risk English position. So I did have a little experience in like all areas of high school. And so this was a 10th through 12th grade program that I moved into. And then they came and asked me to do the cheerleading. And at some point in time, I decided it'd be a really good idea, because I had 52 cheerleaders. This is a big high school, and we had JV squads and varsity squads and fall sports and winter sports, and we traveled to summer camp, and we went to competitions. It was literally almost a full-time job on top of the full-time job I always had. I spent evenings and nights at the school a lot of the time, but I decided at some point that let's add guys to this, right? Let's kind of go out and get some guys to come out for cheerleading so that we can have stuntmen and do that, just go all in, right? Have a co-ed squad and compete co-ed. And so I went to wrestling and I went to football, and we recruited a bunch of guys. We gave them free pizza to come and try it, and a couple of the guys got hooked right away. Lifting a girl in the air is really a super sense of accomplishment for girls and guys, right? To be able to control people in the air, and it was an amazing time. So at one point I had 8 guys and 16 girls, and so then you have a whole nother issue with actually traveling, because then you have guys and girls on the same bus and at hotels, and you have to tape them in their rooms at night because you don't want to sit up all night outside in the hallway to see if they got out of their room, which they did, but tape would be broken in the morning off their doors. Then you have to deal with that. But anyway, so I did do that for a period of time. But because of that, I have a real love for football, because some of my cheerleaders went on to cheer for the Minnesota Vikings and at the University of Minnesota. I had a guy and girl early on that were stunt partners, and then they went on to cheer at the U. So I just have a real love and passion for football. So a weekend ago, my husband took me to the University of Minnesota Gophers. They have a new stadium that I had never been in, and I had been asking for a long time. I always watch the games, sit there and knit, but we went, and it was cold and sleety, and I put up a bunch of pictures on Instagram. And at one point he turned to me and he said, "We have to do this more. You really love this." And I do. I love to cheer, and I do the rouser, and there's a kid sitting next to me that was like, I don't know, 12, 13, or 14, and I finally eventually got him to go, "That's another golden Gophers, first down." He was into it eventually. My husband not so much, but I like to do all the stuff. And the cheerleaders were in front of us, and Goldie Gopher, and so, but then yesterday we bought last minute tickets to the Vikings game, because the Gophers game was Saturday night at 6:30 in the rain, in snow. It was sleeting all day. It was crappy. It was going to be dark and cold, and my husband said, "Let's go to the indoor game." So we looked up online, and we could get tickets, pretty good tickets. We were in the corner in the end zone, not that high up. We were in the first level. I mean, we spent, it's a privilege to be able to afford tickets that are that high, but I had a ball. I have an Adam Thielen jersey because number 19, Adam Thielen, went to my college, and he got a $500 scholarship to go to Minnesota State, which used to be Mankato, where I met my husband. And so he is kind of this rags to riches story, because he was a walk-on. He was on the practice squad for the Vikings and just worked hard and continued to show up. And eventually he made the team, and now he's one of the best, receivers in the NFL. So, to have come from this small college and really not know that he was ever going to make it, and then it's, so I have his jersey. Ross and Gayle gave it to me for Christmas a couple of years ago. I mean, I'm all in. It's crazy. I have Vikings leggings. So we went, and I did the song, Skol Vikings. Anyway, so, yeah. So it's just been busy because we've been going to things, and I've been traveling. So tomorrow I am at the Three Rivers Knitting Guild in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I'm going to get it right. It's about a 3-hour drive for me, so I'm going to go over in the afternoon. I teach Latvian braids, and I'm doing my Skeins to Skeins interactive game for them, and then I'm driving home tomorrow night because I don't have time to sleep over there. I should stay the night. We're done at 8, 3 hours home. I'll make it. I'm a night owl. I'll just have to be really careful for deer, because Wisconsin, night, highway, interstate. Yeah. But then I teach on Wednesday at my house. I'm teaching a new group of knitters that have kind of formed out of my beginner knitters that want to learn how to do fingerless mitts, and the library wanted to charge me to rent the room. So I said, screw it, come to my house. So they're coming on Wednesday, so I'm teaching fingerless mitts to them in the afternoon, and then on Thursday I'm leaving for Rhinebeck. And I have my sweater done, my sweaters. I have both my sweaters done. I'm weaving in ends, but I'm making a gift for Amber because she's been so busy and she's been lamenting the fact that she wasn't going to have anything new to wear. So I'm knitting her something, and I will show you guys all next time because we will have worn our things that I made. So anyway, I went right into Corey's stories this week, just switching it up for you guys a little bit, right? Okay, let's talk about audiobooks. Audiobooks. When you travel on the road all the time, you get a lot of audiobooks read. So I have finished a bunch of things. And I've talked about this one before, but I'm going to mention it again. Ask Again, Yes. It is about 2 New York City police officer rookies assigned to the same precinct. Then they move in side by side in adjoining houses, and one of the wives has some serious mental health issues. And it is the story of, it starts out in the past where it's talking about them and how they got to where they were, and then it moves into the future where they have families and they're growing up, and something major happens. It is a new novel. It came out in May, and I really liked it. It was fascinating. Mary Beth Keane, it's her first novel, and she made some list. She's up for the book award or the national list. I saw her on TV, and they were just interviewing her when I turned it on, and then I listened till the end, and so I missed kind of the beginning of what her journey has been, but I thought, okay, I'm going to put that in my wish list, and it has been coming up in Instagram quite a bit for people that are listening to it. It's 12 hours and 42 minutes. It has a really good narrator. I would highly recommend it. Okay, then the second one I finished was Sing Unburied Sing, which was for my book club, which is also a national book award author who wrote Salvage the Bones, which I wanted to read first because I like doing that, but I didn't. And they're not necessarily sequels. This book is 8 hours and 22 minutes. I spent a lot of time on the road, and it is about a young boy, African-American boy growing up in the South, a young boy, Jojo, who's 13 years old and growing up in Mississippi, and he's learning, basically it's a coming of age story. There is a lot of spiritualism in the book. It was moving, very graphic in a couple of spots. If you're talking about African Americans in the South and their history, there are a couple of points where it got hard to listen to. Probably really important to listen to if it's hard, right? So I would, definitely recommend Sing Unburied Sing. Read by my book club. Last Monday was book club, and I didn't go because I was teaching. So I didn't get in on the discussion about whether or not people liked it or didn't like it, that kind of thing. I maybe will email the lady who runs book club. Then I listened to Over the Top by Jonathan Van Ness. And Jonathan Van Ness is one of the new Fab Five for Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, the remix or the reboot that they did of the show from a long time ago. So they did a national search. They picked 5 new guys to go into the homes of people who were having problems, struggling in life. So there's a hairdresser, there's a stylist, there's a kind of a mental health counselor person, there's a cooking kitchen person, and then there's a home remodel person. So they have 5 guys who are all gay who go into someone's home, who I would assume that the person has been, nominated for the position. And almost every show you cry a little, right? These people are so downtrodden in a way. They've given up on themselves a little bit, and these men are so positive, and they're with them over a period of time, and they cut their hair, they buy them new clothes, they remodel a room in their house, they teach them how to cook. Whatever the person needs, they're there for, right? And I just think it's so moving. I love what I watched them all already this season. But anyway, so in the meantime, I was having this conversation with Kylie, my daughter, and talking about how we liked the show, and that's how we're connecting right now, is that she'll watch something at night before she goes to bed, and then she'll say, Mom, have you watched? The one that we're watching right now is Quantico, the two of us, and it's weird. It goes back and forth in time all the time, and so I asked my parents if they'd watch it, because they watch everything. And my mom said, yeah, we had to give up on that one. We couldn't figure out who the characters were anymore. I'm into season 2, episode, 10 or something. And I'm really, it's the group of characters are being trained into the FBI to be spies or agents, special agents, to investigate things, to look into things. And so it's their whole training and what they go through, which I found fascinating. And then the second season kind of goes into more of the CIA. Really, really liking it. And Kylie said to me the other day, wait till you get to the part where, and I was like, oh, I'm not that far yet. One of those situations. So we've been talking about, the shows. And Jonathan Van Ness is somebody that Kylie follows on Instagram. And she said, Mom, you really should follow him. He's really motivating. He's all about self-love, body consciousness, body love, gymnastics, and ice skating. And so I started following him, and sure enough, this guy who's going to be 40 is trying to go back to gymnastics and kind of relive the things that he wanted to do when he was younger, but he was heavy. And so he tried tumbling all the time, but he was never good at it. And now he's trying, and he's literally, the guy's doing around a full, that's a full twisting backflip. And I was like, wow. And he loves figure skating. So when he was bullied and not treated well when he was younger, he went to watch TV, and he watched gymnastics and he watched figure skating all the time. He knows all the deets on all the teams, but he wrote a book, and that's how I know all of this. So Over the Top, A Raw Journey to Self-Love, and it just came out September of 19, and it's a 5-hour and 50-minute book, and I found it really interesting. He went through a lot in his young life. He grew up in a small town in southern Illinois, which I was telling Amber, because it's just across from the state from her, where if you are a gay man or someone who recognizes themselves as not being of the norm of your high school, right, then you're not going to be treated well. And he wasn't. And he went through a whole eating issue. He had a drug issue. And then he went to college and had an issue there. But eventually he really gets himself together, and now he's on this show, and he's really trying to get people to look at the way we think everyone should dress, should be moving forward. I recommend it. If that's something that sounds of interest to you, a young gay man in southern Illinois, and him growing up, is an easy read. He's funny. He's a comedian. He has a tour. He's on tour right now where he does gymnastics during his talk. So Kylie and I are going. He's coming to Minneapolis. He's on tour. And I called her Monday night, and I just said, hey, Jonathan Van Ness added a second show. The whole tour is practically sold out. You can't go see him. And Kylie said, I'm in, let's go. And so we got tickets to go the beginning of November and listen to Jonathan Van Ness talk about self-love and the importance of loving one another. Yeah. Okay, the last book that I'm reading is got a naughty word in its title. So if you're easily offended, I will say fire truck, because it begins with an F and ends with a K, okay? So this is called The Fire Truck Diet. And it is Eating Should Be Easy, and it's by Carolyn Dooner. And it came up in my recommended for you book list on Audible. I'm not sure why, but I've read a couple of those, what are they called? I've read a couple of those books about, giving up meat and listening to eat salt, fat, sugar, those kinds of, I've listened to a few of those books about consumerism and what we should eat or not eat. And this one just seemed really interesting to me. She's a little irreverent, and I wouldn't say that she's using foul language throughout the book, but it's saying that no one should ever go on a diet, that going on a diet, you know, really messes with your brain. You're depriving yourself. You often deprive yourself of things that you actually need, and in the end you can often rebound and gain the weight back. So if you're that person, like I have been, where on Weight Watchers back in the day when I thought I was fat, right? Seriously, what I would give to weigh what I weighed when I first joined Weight Watchers. I had 12 pounds to lose, right? Yeah, at the time. So that would have been maybe 1989. So I would just graduated from college and 10-year class reunion, right? And then I became a lifetime member, and then I went back, and then I did Slimgenics. I did one when I was in Virginia that I can't remember the name of. You know, off and on. I'm always feeling like I should lose a little weight. And right now I'm heavier than I've probably ever been. And I'm really trying to get over the fact that I have to beat myself up all day, every day, because I want different things to eat. And the gluten-free thing has been a frustration in the last year for me, because my family and me are tired of eating special foods and being this special person when you go places. And since I'm not celiac, I was never diagnosed with celiac, I went to my naturopath, and he said, you could try eating some gluten intermittently now and see how it affects you, since you haven't had it for 4 years. And so I've been trying that to see how it's affecting me, just, you know, a little bit in July, August, and September, you know, maybe once or twice, trying to see. It's just really hard to go out with a group of people and everyone have to say, Corey, what can Corey eat? What, you know, you just get tired of being that person a little bit. So anyway, I'm rambly today, and I don't have time to be rambly, so I might have to cut a little bit this. Sorry, you guys. I'm enjoying the book. I think she has an interesting take on dieting, and that's what I was looking for, somebody else's viewpoint about what we eat and how we consume food and how we talk in our head, right? So anyway, let's move on. Okay, let's go right into the shawl of the day today, which is not really a shawl. She calls it a shawlette. I call it a scarf, but it is one of the most popular shawls in my entire class that I teach. So this is the Easy, E-S-A-Y, by Martina Bem, and it's published in Strickmick, which is her company, and it is knit with the Schapelwohl Zauber ball, and a lot of people have those in their stash, right? This is kind of the original tweedy barbapoled yarn. I'm going to pull this forward just a tad so I can reach it here so you guys can see it. And it is fingering weight, 19 stitches to 4 inches. It is a knit on the bias. It is a written out pattern that's worked flat. It's very simple to do. I'll show you the picture here. I will also maybe try to put a close-up of that in. So there it is. That's probably the best picture. So the Zauber ball is a long self-striping repeat of color. And this is how I like to wear it. Starting in the front to the back, tails come around, time in a knot. So really what you get is like a cravat look. And this one, because it has these, I did not even knit this. This was gifted to me by my friend Jan Tigas. Hi, Jan. And I think I've told her that I use it in class because I've never knit one for myself. And I need to, because it's a great last minute gift for someone. It's a 1 skein of fingering weight yarn, and it's knit in garter the entire way, back and forth on the bias, and then halfway through the ball you measure it 50%. Halfway through the ball you go back and forth the other way. So super simple to make for people. I'll take this off so that you can all see what it looks like. I'm going to really show you the center here. There's the bias. Okay, so really you knit 1, goes here. So you're just going back and forth here. You knit 1 long piece, and then when you get 50%, you go back and forth the other way, and it can go either way because it's garter, but I'll turn it around so you can kind of see. And of course, I love that big orange red stripe in the center there. And I'm going to hold the Zauberball up closer to this camera so you can see what that looks like. So I think a skein of Zauberball, I don't think they have prices of yarns on here. No, they don't. I think a skein of Zauberball probably costs you, I have some in my stash of knit socks with it, $16.95 maybe. And a lot of yarn stores carry it, but you can also find it online. And literally it is so popular in my class. If a yarn store has it in stock, people will sell it out. So this is how I do it. I just, as per usual, I fold down the top of the scarf a little bit. I do that often with my shawls when I'm going to do it like this. Try not to hit the microphone. Forgive me if I do. Bring it around like this. I got 2 long tails. Tie it in the front. If I want that orange to show, now I can just zhuzh it up a little. There, isn't that cute? I know. So easy, garter stitch, so wearable, and you could wrap it 100 different ways. It's fairly narrow. Hers in the picture looks wider than this one, and I don't know if that's because maybe she stretched out the garter when she blocked it. You know how you could stretch garter past its point of being garter stitch anymore, but yeah, there you go. Easy peasy. Okay, I'll wear it for this, and then I'll take it off when we go to this one. Okay, so what I'm wearing today is the Tris sweater, and it's a V-neck, knit from the bottom up, and it is, let me see, in the round, supposedly knit with negative ease, although I just made a size that fit just a little bit bigger than my shape. It's €3.95. Doesn't have any seams. You can do short or half sleeves. I knit mine with Noro Tokonatsu, which is a cotton wool blend, so it's wearable in the summer. And then it has this little scallop, which is kind of like a modified, well, it's pretty much a feather and fan. And then it also has it down here. I'll put a picture in, okay? This sweater has only been made 10 times, and I think that's because it's written a little bit, oh, I just hate to even say it. Some of the wording in the sweater is not quite as concise or informational as it needs to be. And so I think people have read that in a few people's comments and said, well, then I just won't knit that one. And that's too bad because it's a lovely sweater. I wear it a lot. You can make it any length. There it is. And that little feather and fan starts right under the bust. Yeah, it's a really lovely sweater. So that's what I'm wearing today. And I just have leggings on the bottom. I gotta go get my hair cut and colored for Rhinebeck. I've gotta go get my nails done because I haven't had them done in forever. I got a lot to do today and tomorrow. And I've got to edit and upload the podcast, which I might be doing with color on my hair this afternoon at the salon, just so you know. Let's do the sweater of the day today. I bring this sweater to class because I have a lot to say about knitting plain sweaters, and this always gives me a little bit of a platform to do that in. So this is just a plain stockinette sleeve box drop, kind of a drop sleeve that was just knit in a all over tweeded heathered yarn, like a 2-color, so it's just all over. Okay, that is not what is of importance, what I knit. The thing that I want to talk about is the neckline that I put on this, which is all these little loop-de-doos. And of course, I'll put a close-up picture of this in the podcast. But what I tell people is, do you have a sweater's quantity of yarn in your stash? Highly variegated, Cascade 220, Baroque vintage, that you bought on sale somewhere and you just have never found the perfect sweater to make it into? Here's your chance to take a sweater and elevate it. So knit a plain sweater. Knit a top down raglan, knit a bottom up, knit a yoke, whatever fits you the best, knit a set-in sleeve. And these are the patterns that I recommend that people do it with. The Knitting Pure and Simple patterns. Here's a top down swing pullover, which just means it's got 3/4 length sleeves and is more of an A-line shape, which is in my queue, but I haven't knit it yet. But I even have yarn picked out to knit that one with. Here's a neck down cardigan for women. Knit a plain cardigan. And here's a neck down pullover for women. These patterns are so easy and so well done. They come in yarn stores in like on gold paper, right? You all know what I'm talking about. And they say Knitting Pure and Simple across the top. And she has them on Ravelry. And you can find a sweater for your husband under Knitting Pure and Simple, a children, bulky, worsted, fingering, DK. All the options are there. So go out and find a sweater that you can knit your yarn into. But then elevate the sweater by embellishing it. So take some ribbon, just some skinny 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch ribbon, and weave it through at the neckline and around the cuffs. Or knit the collar, the cuffs, and the bottom hem in another color. So color block it. Or knit a single stripe around the neck right before you go into the body, or if you're coming the other way, right before you go for the neck. Or knit 3 stripes on the sleeve. Or go through your button box and pick some really pretty buttons and put 3 little buttons up on the neckline of your sweater, or all the way around the neck of your sweater. Embellish it with anything you can find. Tie 6 little pieces of yarn at the neck and let the ends stick out. Right? Okay, interrupted by a phone call, but you could embellish it with yarn, ribbon, thread. You could go in and go under 3 stitches and run little bits of thread around 3 stitches or skinnier yarn and make a decoration just on the shoulder, right? There are so many things you could do to take a plain sweater. Let's just say you have a bunch of blue, navy blue, or denim yarn, and you've got 6 skeins of it or 5 skeins of it. Knit yourself something plain, so be easy to knit. You'll get a good fit out of it. The thing that you like to wear, sweatshirt, long sleeve t-shirt, whatever it is, just like we talked about in the very first episodes, V-neck, cardigan, whatever you like to wear, just knit it and get it done and then embellish it. So this is literally a child's hood stitch pattern for making a mane around the hood of a child's sweatshirt, a knitted sweatshirt. So you can go on Ravelry and you can put in loopy hood or something like that, and you'll come up with a ton, because people have done this before me, and you can just take those directions and stick it at the top of your neck. So I just took the same yarn, and you just wrap it around and then pull it through so it locks it in place. It is not difficult to do, and not everybody wants to wear a loopy collared sweater. But if you can embellish the thing that you're wearing, it becomes your own, and you personalize it a little bit, and it just makes it more fun to wear, because then people say, oh, I love your buttons, or I really like that ribbon. How did you do that? Especially if you're going to a knitting event. And then it's not permanent. If you don't like what you did, you just take it out and do something different. So I highly recommend. I really want to try. I have not knit a lot of plain sweaters because I'm such a color and stripe person. But what I really like to try is running some ribbon on a V and then up in different colors. So making my own V design in the sweater by just, in and out underneath the stitches. I just think it would be an interesting, thing to try. So there's your motivation for today, is knit a simple pattern. And Tin Can Knits would be ideal, right? They have a ton of simple, easy to knit patterns. I love those ladies. I got in touch with them this week because I had to ask them a question about a design that I'm thinking about doing, and they got back to me twice actually, and they were absolutely lovely. Today I also want to say happy birthday to my dear friend Renee. She's having her big birthday this next weekend, and which is the reason that we're going to Rhinebeck, to kind of help her celebrate. And she's a dear friend to me who I don't see often enough, because she's working full time and I'm running around the country. And so I just wanted to wish her a happy birthday. Pop back in and say that my iPhone broke. I was going to say a naughty word. Last week, end of last week, and the touchpad stopped working, and then it was working intermittently, and then I had like a short in the top where it was flickering across the top, and so I was getting intermittent messages. And so I just want anybody that might have sent me an email or a text message, that if I did not respond to you, it's because I didn't get it. Yesterday I bought a new phone. I upgraded, and then it took till overnight for it to load everything in and sync with my other phone. And so I really have been kind of out of contact and out of touch intermittently for many days. I just wanted to put that in here. Put up today with some exciting news for me, and I have a new RSbead Designs website, and I'm just tickled pink. Oh, tickled orange. There we go. I have been working on getting a new website up for probably 2 years. I had talked to someone to do it for me, and then it didn't happen, and then I looked around for other people, and the price point was too high, way too high. And so I finally found a woman, Jean, who does tech editing and website design, and we worked all summer. So she worked on it for several months this summer, kept collecting all the things that she needed to put up on the website. My old website, although useful, was not pretty, right? We just kind of put it together. It was kind of bare bones. It had information out there, but I'm going to show you on my phone. The app is, the look of it on the phone is quite different than on a real screen. This is my new web page. It's got all the colored balls hanging all over it, and then you scroll up. So you can get my class catalog, all my designs, my newsletter, which I don't have yet, but I'm going to talk about, my teaching schedule, the podcast, a little bit about me, and then links to my Instagram and Facebook pages. So you can go out to irocknits.com and take a look at that for me, for one. But if you sign up to receive my newsletter by putting your email in and then checking your junk mail, because that's where it's going to go, and then giving it a, yes, I want to subscribe, because there's a law now that you cannot collect people's email addresses unless they approve it after putting it in. So there's like a 2-step process. If you've ever wondered why you always have to confirm, that's because they made it a law to try to cut down on people getting hacked and having their names put out, all over the internet where they didn't want it. So you put in, Mary Jane at such and such, and then hit, sign up, and then you'll get an email from me that will say, did you want to subscribe? And you have to hit yes. So if you do that, you get a coupon code for any one of my patterns for free. So I would encourage you to go out and sign up. I will not be putting out information to you every week or information to you every day. I'm not going to write a newsletter because I have the podcast to give out any information I need to do. But what I'm going to use it for is to give you updates when I have new patterns, so that you can get a coupon code for a discount on anything that I would publish going forward. So I would just collect your email addresses in order to keep you updated. Also, if I'm going to be teaching in a different part of the country, that I hadn't been to before or that you might not hear about, I might put a blast out for that so that people would be aware. So it's not something that you'll see in your inbox all the time, but if you go out and subscribe to it, you can get one of my patterns for free. So then you'll get a third email, which will give you that coupon code. Once you've approved that you want it, you'll get a screen that will come up that will tell you what the coupon code is. So I hope that people like it. It's pretty simple. It's got a white background and then just lots of color. Everything's set up in just boxes, so it's pretty easy to navigate. There's only the front page. There's not pages of stuff that you have to go through or anything like that. It's a big job to write a website and get all the links and put everything in there. She did a really nice job working with me and getting what I wanted. So I just wanted to kind of close out today with that I have a new website, and I'll be posting that on Instagram this afternoon. I've been working through some glitches and some things that happened with my friends. My Corey at iRockKnits email wasn't linked in correctly, and so that wasn't working. So, when you put up a new thing, it's going to have some glitches in it. So I think I've got all that straightened out. So until next time, keep it colorful, waddle on, yellow bananas, and color me orange.